I actually want to ask something else apart from the whole cultural thing. Um, so, being a leader in your work life, and being a leader at Toastmasters, they are two different things, right? And what I want to know is, how does being a leader at Toastmasters help a person lead a team, or lead an organization, or lead a whole bunch of organizations in their corporate? That's what I want to know.
I, I think Toastmasters really, really helps and has helped me tremendously to shape up in my organization as well. And I'll tell you how. In an organization, you have a very set hierarchy. And somebody reports to you, a person reports to him. So at the end of the day, if somebody continues to not do what you want them to, there is a recourse. But in Toastmasters, that is just not how it will work. Okay, people have come together because they believe in something, and your conduct, the way you manage things along with them, has to come from their willingness and the efforts that they do, and the fact that they see that they're contributing to a larger goal. And it's not just about, nobody's being paid for doing anything at Toastmasters, right? So the only motivation is building a better place, doing something for others, improving themselves. So a lot of different things need to come together for a Toastmasters club to work and improve on and run efficiently. And that is something that I've learned at Toastmasters. One, you don't need hierarchy always, but you learn Toastmasters really helps you get those tools that you need to have people work better together. For example, every time I try and work with people, uh, I try and work towards a common goal. Okay, what is it that we're all trying to achieve? Instead of saying, oh, well, you're a junior person, why don't you just do this portion of the work and come back? Toastmasters will tell you that every person, it's very important, sees the larger picture.
Yeah.
And then Toastmasters really helps. One thing that I truly learned is giving credit. You know what we do at Toastmasters? Everywhere else, you will see people taking credit. Oh, I did this. I did this project. I got this award. I delivered X and Y. Toastmasters is the entirely opposite thing. Say, I didn't do anything. Ishani did it. I didn't do it. Deepinder did it. I didn't. In Toastmasters, you will not find a person who will say that, yes, I did it. Well, somebody did it, right? But there, everybody, is talking about saying the ethos basically is that, well, somebody had to come together to make something happen. And that is something everybody should take back to their organizations to say, okay, while I might have led this project or I was a part of this project, we all had to come together to make something happen. My team did this. The concept of I doing something really changes when you work at Toastmasters. So at least this has been one of my biggest learnings there. Yeah.
So, Shubhra, do you believe that people who are new to Toastmasters or in the Toastmasters fraternity should take up leadership roles in order to become better leaders in their work life?
Why not? Why not? Absolutely. Again, it's all an experience. There is no singular process of saying, "Oh, because I become a president of Toastmasters, I will become a better leader in my organizations." Not everybody will have it to the same degree. Somebody will have it more. Somebody will have it less. In fact, somebody might be a great leader in their organization, and they will bring that back to Toastmasters and improve
Mm.
everyone's lives. But again, like everything else in life, it's an experience of working with a completely diverse set of people. Like I'm a finance person, a boring finance one, that I work with all finance people. But in
Mhm.
Toastmasters, like you guys and so many others, people come from all over the world, all kind of work, all kind of ages. And to work with them, of course, teaches you something that you can take back to not just work, but family also,
Yeah,
friends. It's just how you deal with everyday situations in life. So there is
incredible.
learning everywhere, I guess.
Nice.
Incredible.
I think one of the
Incredible.
key takeaways that I'm going to take from this is that experience matters a lot, and every experience has a different course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, we are what 16, 17 minutes into this conversation, and people who would be watching this video would know that you are an effective communicator. So I'll just take that straight up. Effective communication is all of us want to communicate better, I think communication, public speaking is one type of communication. Interpersonal communication is a different type of communication. The type of communication you require at your workplace is again slightly different than what you do at home or at Toastmasters or on the streets. So, as someone who has been working for n number of years, n is an undisclosed number. So, what do you think comprises of effective communication? How can one become an effective communicator at work? I really want you to think about your journey from level 0 to level 10, or from the beginning of your career up till now, and what have you learned about being an effective communicator, and just share it with people who are listening to this.
I want to add something to it. So, not just work, but in our social circles as well, I think. A lot of
Absolutely.
us struggle with socializing.
Yeah.
So this is actually kind of a difficult one, and I'll tell you why. Toastmasters communication is still easier, if especially if you're just a member, right? Because then everybody's nice to you and positive and encouraging you. The moment you become one of the EC members, it becomes a little tricky because then you have to tell people that they should come to the club and join your club. And when
Yeah.
I was a president, I was very careful at never saying these words. I always told them that, okay, come and experience, and if you like it, join. But you should join what works for you best. So a club close to you works for you best, join that, not this. But I think people come with an expectation of being sold, and therefore they feel, okay, I'm not being sold here. Okay, let me try this a little more. Work, I think, becomes completely different. And to be honest, one of the reasons I came back to Toastmasters after a long break was because I realized that I had become scared of talking to people all over again. All of this effective communicator talk is one thing, but starting conversations with people I don't know or I know very little is always something that I find very hard. And
Oh.
trying to, in this first 5 minutes of the conversation, I mean, you can't talk about weather. So you need,
All the time.
it's very scary. And I started to think that I was going to be quiet in all meetings, especially, and I'd taken a new role in my organization, a new team. And I found I was becoming really uncomfortable in starting conversations. And that is something Toastmasters really helped me because in Toastmasters, I could speak to anybody. I would speak to everybody who had come to the club because I had to. That was part of my job. And I started to miss that at work. But even at work, I'll tell you, even today, I find that it's a struggle at times. In a lot of calls, especially when you have senior leaders on the call, a different leader wants something explained in a different way. In the virtual communication era, nobody's sitting across the table that you can explain things. So every file that you open, you need to start talking about this is the sheet, this is what the columns mean, this is what the rows mean, and then you start explaining one by one. So it's not easy to do this at work, and public speaking is completely different actually to my mind than doing it at work. I think the most important thing is, of course, to know your work. What is it that you're talking about? You must be comfortable with that. If you continue to be nervous of the very basic thing of your content, and then that shows. Other than that, we must think about who we are speaking to in the organization. How senior is the leader? What is it that they would want to view? I mean, I, as a middle level person in an organization, might want to focus on very, very minuscule things too. But somebody higher up would want to maybe start with a bigger picture. A lot of times in our discussions with leadership, they quickly talk about what investors are looking for, while we start with what internal numbers, etc., are looking like. So we must understand who we are speaking to. And it's again an experience. Gradually, you get comfortable with talking to maybe your boss and the boss's boss, and then whoever else you need to speak to. It's definitely not easy. And to socializing, Ishani, I think that's another big mammoth task, especially for people, including me, who don't think this is an easy one. I think what I try and do, to be honest, is, and it's very deliberate, I try and find some common ground, something that I feel will not be a complete surprise to the other person, something they may be interested in, and I always try and bring some amount of humor to the conversation. So, for example, if I talk to a colleague, I will start maybe talking about how much stress it is nowadays, etc., and see where the conversation kind of goes from there. And it's the same with socializing with other people. Some common ground to start with, which is not weather, by the way, and then try and put in humor. It is my personal view that if you put humor in anything and the other person responds to it, the conversation is well. In fact, if I ever give an interview and if I'm able to laugh a little with the interviewer, I know it's clear.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
क्या बात है सर, बहुत ही बढ़िया.
See, this is the thing about Toastmasters that Diptendu will continue to say the nicest things about me, and I will leave this conversation feeling like, oh, yay, this is I'm on a high.
I think that's what we call building people up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right then. So I think that brings us to the end of this conversation.
Mhm.
Or if
Yeah.
Deependu has some other questions to ask.
No, I mean I don't have any more questions, and but I wish we could have talked for longer.
I know, right?
Yeah, just give me a call.
I will.
Okay, thank you for thinking of me, giving the opportunity. It's great to see you guys in days that we are all closed.
Yeah,
So yeah, stay in touch.
stay in touch. Right. I
Absolutely. Shubhra.
want to
Thank you
end
so
with actually want to end with this question. So, Shubhra, after this lockdown ends and after the situation becomes all good, apart from office, like let's leave the office, but apart from office, what place do you think you would visit first?
The first, I think I'll go and visit my parents, meet my nieces. I'm homesick. But other than that, I don't have any plans. Actually, I had plans to travel in August. Oops.
Okay.
Oh. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. We were planning a trip down to Madhya Pradesh again,
Oh, wow.
but we'll see if that works out.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Thank you so much, Shubhra, for joining us.
Great, yeah.
All right.
All right
Thank
then.
you,
Yeah.
guys. Bye
So,
bye.
everybody, this is the isolation series, the end of episode 4. And we had with us Shubhra Sharma. We hope that you were able to relate, to take away all the learnings that Deependu and I are taking away. And we'll see you next time with a new episode, with a new guest. Till
And
then,
until then,
ah,
stay tuned, keep waiting for us, and just be
and,
good.
and like, comment, subscribe, click on the bell icon.
All right.
All
Yay.
right.
All right. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.